Hello everyone! Today we're going to be jumping back into Historic to try out Tribal Flames, one of the new cards added in the anthology set. Now, what's a better way to play a Tribal Flames deck, if not Domain? So, we're going to be trying to get all of our basic land types amongst our land base. Here we have all of the Triomes, all of the lands from New Capenna, all of the Shock lands, as well as a couple of other different lands for mana fixing that all work themselves out to make sure that we get our plains, island, swamp, mountain, and forest as quickly as possible and turn on Tribal Flames for 5 damage. Talking about other cards that care about Domain, we have Territorial Kavu as well. This is going to be a 5/5 once we have all those basic land types, and each time it attacks, we can either discard a card and draw a card, or exile a card from a graveyard, which is very powerful. Last major card that cares about Domain is Leyline Binding. We can get this cost down to just 1 white mana, which is absolutely insane for flash removal of any non-land permanent. Very strong card. Now, not quite caring about Domain, but still caring about colors, is Niv Mizzet Reborn. When Niv enters the battlefield, we're going to reveal the top 10 cards of our library, and for each color pair, we can actually choose one of those cards to put in our hand. Now, speaking of color pairs, to enable Niv Mizzet, we have a couple of one-of spells in different color pairs. We have Supreme Verdict. That's the white-blue. Maelstrom Pulse, that's green and black. We have Culligan's Command in black and red, as well as Vanishing Verse, which is black and white. So those are there just so we can fetch them off the Niv Mizzet, and they'll also be some decent value for us in our hand, but that's not their main goal. Now, talking about one of our main cards here, we have Expressive Iteration. This is an insane value engine. Not only can we find extra lands to play for our turns, we can put some of our cards like Niv Mizzet in our hand as well. Very powerful. We also have Lightning Helix. This is going to be great for both life gain and damaging our opponents. And then we actually have 2 different cards in our green and blue color pairs. The first is Growth Spiral. Growth Spiral is going to be absolutely amazing with the density of tap lands that we have in this deck. Instead of having to wait a turn for them to untap, we can actually cheat them out onto the battlefield at instant speed, ramping us, and when we come around to our next turn, we'll have our untapped Triumph, which is going to be absolutely amazing. We're also running 2 copies of Hydroid Crassus. This is a great finisher. It's going to be a very big creature. It'll gain us life. It'll draw us cards. Overall, jack of all trades and absolutely phenomenal in this deck. Now, if you've been enjoying my content, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my latest videos. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like. Let's go ahead and see how this deck does. Alright, looks like our opponent goes first, and this is a fine starting hand. We've got all the land types that we want here. Let's go ahead and start with the Rogran Triumph. Next turn, we're probably going to shock in the Overgrown Tomb. That's going to give us Domain, and we will have one important choice here. 2 DRCs, I think we go for the Kavu. This is going to be a very strong blocker for us, and I don't think our opponent's going to be able to remove that either. But we'll see. They have the Lightning Axe, that's fine. Opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. Can go Culligan's Command. Deal 2 damage, have our opponent discard a card. That could be really strong. Can also get Kavu back. We'll see. Lots of different options for us. Yep. Alright, so we'll play out the Glacial Fortress. Now this is an instant, so we can wait, and we will. But it is worth noting that if our opponent does get a creature in their graveyard, Dragon's Rage Channeler is going to get bigger. So I think what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and return a creature from our graveyard to our hand and deal 2 damage. I'm going to pick Kavu, and we're going to kill a Dragon's Rage Channeler. That's going to turn on the other one regardless. Alright, Phoenix in the graveyard. So Kavu's ability to exile up to 1 card from a graveyard is going to come in handy for us. Next turn, we're going to go Growth Spiral Kavu. Oh, sorry, we do not have the mana to do that. Or, no, we can, because green-blue with the Grove, yep. So we have Growth Spiral Kavu. That'll set us up for Niv Mizzet. Kavu's going to be able to take care of the Phoenix in our opponent's graveyard, which is going to be very strong. So let's go Growth Spiral. Blood Crypt. Have it enter tapped. Kavu. Things are looking good. We'll be able to cast out Niv Mizzet next turn. Sure, Ledger Shredder. Let's start by going to combat. Okay, I know which card I want to get rid of, and it's going to be the Phoenix. Now, there is a case for getting rid of some of the Faithless Lootings, but given the fact that our opponent has 2 of them, they will be able to cast one regardless. Now let's go Niv Mizzet. Unfortunately, not the best hit, but we do hit Lightning Helix and a Growth Spiral. Lightning Helix is going to be really strong for us. It can deal with one of their creatures. Interesting. Okay, another Ledger Shredder in the graveyard. And there's an Opt, yep. Now, our opponent can't attack with Ledger Shredder, which is really good. We're just going to go ahead and block and kill that Dragon's Rage Channeler. Now, let's go ahead and start by moving to combat. We're going to keep Niv Mizzet back as a blocker. And we're going to go ahead and find, where is it? Faithless Looting. Get rid of that. Our opponent's now down to 1 card in hand. I'm going to cast Expressive Iteration here. Interesting. Let's go ahead and put the Breeding Pool in our hand. And we'll just play a Mountain for turn. That shouldn't be an issue. And let's play out another Kavu. Ledger Shredder connives, but that's fine. We'll end the turn here. We have Lightning Helix, if we need to gain some life. Nice, our opponent has an Expressive Iteration of their own. Okay. Sure, they'll be casting Consider this turn. Okay, there's a Phoenix. Now, if they do play out that last card to get the Phoenix, we can just hit it with Lightning Helix. But that's only if they decide to attack with both the Phoenix and the Ledger Shredder. We are in a very commanding position right now. If not, we can also go Growth Spiral, play out the Breeding Pool. Delver of Secrets, sure. Yep. Phoenix return. Okay, let's go for the Growth Spiral. Let's go Breeding Pool. It'll enter tapped. And we've got it! Alright. Alright. Looks like our opponent is going first. On the draw, we can keep this hand. It is a little heavy on the lands. Okay, playing up against an Elf deck. I like having Supreme Verdict here. Yes, 100% an Elf deck. Now, let's see what we want to do here. Let's go ahead and play out our Steam Vents. This way we can hold up Lightning Helix. Actually, I think we're going to use Lightning Helix right now on that Arc Druid, since I really don't want to deal with that. This is also going to enable us to cast Expressive Iteration next turn, which we will do. Okay. Hand. Sulfur Falls. Let's go Overgrown Tomb. We're gonna play this out tapped. Everything's looking good so far. We'll have Expressive Iteration again. Culligan's Command is actually pretty good as well. We can have our opponent discard a card. Looking good. Now, this might be a Collected Company angle for our opponent. They've conveniently left up 4 mana. I could not think of a better way of expressing the fact that they have Collected Company. Okay, let's go ahead and put the Mizzet in our hand. Helix, and we're gonna exile Growth Spiral. Now we're exiling Growth Spiral here because, let's go play this untapped. We'll be able to cast it using our Glacial Fortress. And then let's put a Hollowed Fountain onto the battlefield. It can enter tapped. Now opponent's gonna cast their Collected Company on our end step. That's fine. We've got Supreme Verdict for next turn, and I don't think they're gonna kill us just yet. Now there is a decent chance that our opponent is going to simply give up as soon as we cast Supreme Verdict. But we'll see. Worst case scenario is we see a Crater Hoof here. Yep. Please do play out every card in your hand. Oh, I see that last one too. Alright, well that's pretty perfect. I could not have asked for anything better. Look at that, surviving with 2. Now we're just gonna go ahead and cast Supreme Verdict. And we've got it, alright. Alright, here we are on the play. And this looks phenomenal. We've got all the lands we need to cast all of our spells. As it stands, we're going to start with Jetmir's Garden, since we do have the mountain to enable a turn 2 Kavu, if necessary, but I want to get a little bit more information on my opponent's deck first. Alright, that's a single green land. We could be playing up against an Elves deck. Interesting. Death Touch. Very interesting. Let's go for Xander's Lounge here. End the turn. No need for the Kavu into the Death Touch creature. And Rot Priest. Okay. Just gonna use Leyline Binding, get rid of the Rot Priest before that becomes a problem. Okay, I do like having Lightning Helix. Let's play the tap land. We'll hold up Growth Spiral or Helix. Sure. I'm just going to deal with the Rot Priest right now. Again, one poison counter is going to be better than whatever it is that they're going to end up doing over the course of the game. They only have 2 cards left in hand. Now we've dealt with 2 of their Rot Priests so far. Nune's 2 left. What are the odds of us seeing another one? Seems pretty low. I think our opponent's going to be on a straight attack damage plan. Now, fortunately for us, we do have a Lightning Helix that we've drawn into here. So we can use that to go ahead and kill the Dryad if necessary. I am going to hold on to it, though. No need to cast an instant. Gotcha. Now we'll use it. Now it's basically discard a card, draw a card, get a poison counter, sure. Move to combat. Let's just go ahead and exile the Rot Priest. I don't want to deal with those, don't want to see them, they can go away. We'll end the turn here. We have Growth Spiral to draw a card at the end of their turn, if we want to. Okay, another Season of Growth. This is fine. And another Season of Growth. Alright, let's go for Growth Spiral here. We do find a land. We're going to put it out onto the battlefield. Now, this is a fun card, which is really fun to read. I think our opponent's going to concede after this, but I'm unsure. They might continue playing. Let's go ahead and just exile a card from their graveyard. We're going to pick their creature. Hold up Vanishing Verse. No need for the Hydroid Crassus yet. Plus Territorial Kavu is great as is. See, there we go. They do have the way of getting things back out of their graveyard, so I'm glad we got rid of both of their creatures. Season of Growth. Perfect. Opponent's tapped out. I mean, at this point, we're just going to go ahead and exile that, because we don't want them to have it. I'm going to move to combat. Let's exile... what do I not want them having back? Let's go with another one of those. Now, since next turn is going to be lethal, let's go ahead and play this for 4. Draw some cards. We're in a strong spot. They have to be able to deal with the Kavu this turn. Alright, well, let's just go ahead and swing out. We'll exile a card from a graveyard. We're going to go ahead and pick their last Season of Growth. Nothing to return. Move to damage. And we've got it. Alright, here we are on the play. Now, this isn't going to be the best starting hand since we don't have any access to green mana for Kavu. And this is going to be slightly better, so we're going to go ahead and keep. Let's get rid of Rootbound Crag. And we're going to go ahead and start with our green Triome. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Spy Triome as well. And that's the Steamkin, alright. And we do find a Hollowed Fountain here, which is going to give us our Island type. So we'll play that out, get Kavu up to be a 5/5. Next turn, we've got Expressive. Hold up Leyline Binding. That could be very strong. I don't think our opponent's going to attack into the Kavu here. Yep. That's good. It's always a win when you get the mono red deck to pass their turn, because they have no good attacks. Alright, well, we know what we put in the hand. And I think we're going to go ahead and play the Ketria Triome this turn. Love me Teamer land. Now, I'm just going to attack. Let's discard and draw. I'm going to discard the Clifftop Retreat. And draw a Lightning Helix, so that's definitely an upgrade. We made the correct choice. Now, I will kill Steamkin with Lightning Helix if I am given the opportunity. Okay, sure. Can also use Leyline Binding on the Steamkin. Interesting. So, Wizard's Lightning, they can use both of the Firebrands. I think now's the time to Leyline Binding the Steamkin. Yep. We're gonna hit the Steamkin right here. And they can do that. Kill both Firebrands. And then they get no attacks out this turn. Yep. Perfectly fine with that. Alright, let's go. Expressive. Do I have Lightning Helix mana? If I do this, yes I do. So Expressive hold up Lightning Helix is going to be really strong. Now, I think we've dealt with our opponent's creatures enough where that we no longer need Supreme Verdict. Let's put Tribal Flames in our hand. Supreme Verdict can go back in the library. And then we'll play the Grove for turn. And then we'll just end here. Lightning Helix will deal with the Pyromancer or whatever other threat our opponent plays out. Alright, Lightning Helix it is. Gain some life, back up at 19. Alright, love to see that. Let's go ahead and cast our Tribal Flames. And I'll play out Sulphur Falls. We'll pass here. I can cycle the Lounge, hold up Leyline Binding. I do like that. But before, we're gonna keep Vanishing Verse up as an option as well. End the turn. Interesting. I almost think it's gonna be best to use Vanishing Verse here. Just exile that so we don't have to worry about it coming back. Yep. I think best thing our opponent could do here is kill the Phoenix with their own spell, but they're down to one card in hand and we have a Leyline Binding. I definitely think we're gonna win this game as long as it stays drawn out like this. Next turn we can cycle the Lounge, try and find something better. As soon as we get another threat on the board, we're gonna be in a good spot. Alright, we draw into a Lightning Helix. That's actually really good for us. Now I am going to cycle the Xander's Lounge first. The reason I'm doing this first is because we have enough mana held up for both Lightning Helix and Leyline Binding anyway, so we might as well see if we can find a card that we prefer. Alright, and we just see a Sparta's Headquarters, so we'll go ahead and hold on to that. If our opponent does nothing on their turn, we can go ahead and cycle this again. Lightning Strike. Alright, well, let's just counter Lightning Helix, gain the life that we're about to lose, just for fun. Back to my turn. Hydroid Crassus. This will actually be able to end the game. Play this out for 4. Looks good. And we can play out the Headquarters as a land as well. With one card. Notably, the 4+1/+1 counters on Hydroid Crassus takes us out of Lightning Strike range, which is going to make this really difficult for our opponent to remove. Whatever our opponent does play, we can deal with using Leyline Binding. We can also play out Territorial Kavu for some extra damage, but we're on a 2-turn clock anyway, so there's really no need to do that. I think best thing for us to do is hold up the Culligan's Command and Leyline Binding for next turn. That opponent plays out the Lava Runner. That's not going to be able to stop us. So we do have 6 damage next turn if we use Culligan's Command. So I think we just hold on to this. We've got it, alright. Okay, everyone, I hope you enjoyed. As we saw, Tribal Flames is an excellent addition to the Domain deck, and I'm very glad that we finally have it on Arena. That 5 damage is not only good for taking out premier targets like Shieldred in our opponent's deck, but it's also a phenomenal burn spell that can put that lethal damage and that lethal pressure on our opponent. Now, Lightning Helix is also an amazing spell in that deck, letting us gain some life and stabilize into aggro decks. Just remember, it is important to understand when you should be trying to kill your opponent's creatures and outvaluing them for the long game. versus when you should be going face and actually trying to burn your opponent down before they have the time to recover. That's going to be the biggest differentiation between winning and losing with this deck, so make sure you pay close attention. Aggro decks, make sure you're hitting your opponent's creatures and you're trying to outvalue them that way. If you're playing a mid-range deck, definitely go face and try and kill them before they get out some of their bigger threats. Now, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like, and I'll see you all next time.